You're not going to believe the news coming out today regarding Fisker. They are on the cusp of bankruptcy here, and they have been for a while. And it doesn't look good out of their camp. You know, if you look at Fisker on YouTube, look at all these terrible topics and success of these topics, especially from MKBHD, the legend himself, saying this is the worst car he's ever reviewed. Other people saying that, you know, he's manipulating the market. That's nonsense. Honestly, it's not a good car due to its software issues. But some people are also firing back saying, hey, he got it all wrong. I'm an owner, blah, blah, blah. There are people on both sides of the coin here saying Fisker is good, Fisker is bad. But regardless of how good or not good their cars are, they need financial help. And if we look at Nissan, Nissan is about ready to invest into Fisker to get a pickup truck out on the market. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, this is my Sunday morning EV update. I compile all the most interesting EV talks throughout the week, and I bring it to you every Sunday morning, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon for next Sunday's news. Also, I'm driving an Ioniq 6 this week. I'm finishing up the review, so stay tuned for that. That will be hitting very, very soon on the channel. Fisker. Now, I haven't driven a Fisker yet. I can't say anything about it other than what I'm seeing out there. There is one or two in my town here in Southwest Florida, so I see them actually in my kids' car line, and there is amazing road presence to the Fisker Ocean SUV. They're not selling enough of them due to production issues as well as supply chain issues and a lack of demand, and it's really expensive, all these other things. But what if I told you Fisker's about ready to get bailed out? They need to get bailed out or they're going to go bankrupt, and they're about ready to strike a deal. Fisker said we're in talks of one of 5 major automakers here in the United States, but they wouldn't elaborate who that was. Even though shares are like at an all-time low this week, Nissan's about ready to jump in, swoop in, and possibly inject this EV startup with a little bit of life. What's interesting, Nissan should be doing this, in my opinion, with their Infiniti brand and try to inject some excitement into there. But this could really help the brand out. And we're going to talk about how this investment in Fisker could help Nissan with electrification on a massive scale. So what does Nissan get? Well, they could get everything if it really comes to that, but the main thing they're after, the crown jewel of Fisker, is a car that they don't have out on the market. They're not really interested in the Ocean. Nissan has the Aria, which is, I'm sure, outselling the Ocean, which doesn't mean it's a better car, just saying that it's more readily available. But what is this pickup truck? Well, Fisker has this Alaska, and Nissan's pickup truck, this kind of compact or mid-sized pickup truck, they have the Frontier. How perfect of a naming. You literally have Alaska and Frontier. Hopefully it's not the last Frontier for Nissan if they brand their next EV pickup truck the Alaska. And we're going to get into some of the details here. I'll play some of this B-roll as well as some images of the Alaska for you. So the Alaska, in theory, was supposed to go on sale next year, 2025. And there are 4 different trim levels. Sport, the entry-level trim level, and that was going to be $45,500. Ultra, Extreme, and One are the additional trim levels. It's about the size of a Maverick or Santa Cruz, so it's a little bit smaller than even something like a Tacoma. Now, the powertrains are supposed to be the same as what we see out of the Magnus Steer factory for the Fisker Ocean, and that's rear-wheel drive 275 horse or dual motor 564 horse and 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds. Base range with a 75 kilowatt hour battery is supposed to be around 230 miles on this pickup truck. Long range with a 113 kilowatt hour battery is supposed to be around 340 miles. You have 2 wheel sizes, 20 to 22 inch wheels. On the inside, you have a webbed roof. You have rugged materials. A lot of topography looking adorned plastics in there too. The big selling feature here for an electric pickup truck is its versatility. Since it's not body on frame, you have this drop down mid-gate. They call it the Houdini. The 4.5 foot bed evolves into a 7.5 foot bed. You fold down the rear seats and gets you all the way up to 9.2 feet of bed length. For technology, there's a 17-inch touchscreen. However, there's no Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but Nissan can fix that, put their own technology in there, and get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay if they want. Production, like I said, early 2025, but that's not going to happen. It's supposed to be on the same platform as the Ocean. Obviously, it's just a little bit elongated, so you fit a longer bed in there and probably bigger batteries. But it's supposed to be made in the USA, not in the Magna Steyr plant. The Magna Steyr plant is in Austria. They build like the Toyota Supra. They build the Nissan Z. Not the Nissan Z, the BMW Z, a different type of Z. But this truck has to be made in the United States. Otherwise, it would succumb to the chicken tax of imported trucks. Nissan builds the Frontier, I think, in the Canton, Mississippi plant, and that's also where they're going to be building their next generation EVs. This is where Fisker needs to build, and well, in theory, with Nissan's help, they will build this down in Mississippi at their EV plant and truck plant. And this is really going to make Nissan's electric vehicle, and pull this up on the screen for you. This was actually teased maybe a year ago. This is their Surf Out concept. And notice how it's orange as well. Just completely coincidental with the naming and the color as what we've seen with the Alaska pickup truck. And, you know, there's no way Nissan's going to put a customizable digital tailgate back here or rear-facing seats or flip-up seats, but that's pretty cool too. You can see the surfboard goes all the way up into the front cabin, even folding down the front seat. So I think there's a lot of styling and engineering crossover here that they would agree on to get this Frontier in Alaska out to the market. This deal could close this month. Well, this came out March 1st. So by the end of March, March 31st, we could get a done deal with Nissan and Fisker. The terms being discussed include Nissan investing more than $400 million into Fisker's truck platform and building Fisker's planned Alaska pickup truck starting now in 2026, not 2025. Fisker announced on Thursday when announced they could be going for bankruptcy, and they had to cut production. Well, they had cut its workforce 15%, but they were in talks with a large automaker for potential investment and joint development partnership. Neither companies are speaking about this potential deal, of course, until it's a done deal. Fisker shares had been down about 45% before the Reuters report. This comes off the heels of Nissan and Renault kind of settling their differences and walking away from each other. They still have 15% stake in each other's companies, but it's nowhere near where I think Renault had like 40% of Nissan. And so Nissan now has the ability to do stuff for themselves instead of just taking the second or the back seat essentially to Renault and whatever they wanted to do. And I've been reading recently Renault would be more interested in working with European companies to bolster European manufacturing instead of working with Nissan, which makes sense to me, right? Because there are ships loaded with BYDs entering into Germany right now. 3,000 EVs just poured out of this thing into mainland Germany, and Renault, being a European automaker, has their attention focused on what's going on in Europe. They don't care so much what's going on in the United States. Nissan says, hey, this is our opportunity to do something to get a big jump with technology, even though Fisker's vehicle, it's not finished, in my opinion. The Ocean, the software is too buggy. There's way too many issues with it. I don't think from a build quality standpoint, but I've also heard some of the parts that they're sourcing are not the most reliable either. And if I look in my area, there are actually 3 Fiskers already on sale. It didn't take long for them to get on sale. 176 miles, 575 miles, and 67 miles. People are hardly driving these things. They want to get rid of them. If we look in the entire country, there are 40 available. Let's check the lowest price. Well, that's a Fisker Karma. Okay, that's from a different era, different company, right? So let's tally the SUV here. And yes, look how many that are on the market with hardly any miles. People do not want them. They're having to drop prices to try to move them. These dealers are probably going to lose money on them as well. Gorgeous looking vehicle, great performance. The software is not fully baked. This thing is a brick. Now, also, I find it interesting that Fisker's top of the line GT high performance supercar, did I mention it was 4-door? It's called the Ronin. And I feel like that's perfect for Nissan because Nissan is now a samurai without a master after they have kind of settled their differences with Renault. So here's Ronin, a Japanese name for a samurai without a master, and that is perfect. Like honestly, like Alaska and Frontier, perfect like naming. And Ronin, this could be maybe the next GTR. Who knows? Crazy, crazy stuff going on here, guys. We're going to keep moving because there's other things going on in the industry. Polestar 3 should be coming out fairly soon here. It's been delayed as well with the EX90 from Volvo. And 517 horsepower with torque vectoring rear axle. This is an $85,000 shot at the Porsche Macan EV. Motor Trend got a chance to drive it in the freezing Sweden landscape. And speaking of Sweden, Polestar is a spinoff of Volvo's performance division. Volvo, a Swedish automaker, but both of these Swedish companies are owned by Geely, a Chinese auto investor and big company. Volvo and demand for Polestars has really dropped. Used ones are flooding the market, first of all. You can get some launch editions for under $30,000, which is just crazy, but that's a good deal if you ask me. Here's one under $30,000, only 9,000 miles. I really like the Polestar 2. It's a great car. It is made in China. Some people have issue with that. And the build quality, at least in my samples, was not the most impressive, but it drove great and it was fast and I like the software. Just watch my review. It's not a perfect car, but it's a really good car for under $30,000. Polestar right now is giving you dual motor all-wheel drive for free. There's a no-cost upgrade right now, complimentary dual motor upgrade. So they're doing everything they can to try to sell these vehicles now. It's still a hard buy, even though they gave it a refresh, better efficiency for the 2024 model year. It's still a hard buy compared to the outgoing models that are on the used market for $15,000 less than this, right? It just depends on what kind of incentives you can get as well. This Polestar 3 is supposed to be on sale May 2024. But again, like $85,000 for this high performance EV. I know there's going to be some takers out there, but is it really going to move the needle for where Polestar needs to be to survive as an electric vehicle company? You know, they have deep pockets with Geely as their investor. Lastly, LG Energy and Honda, they have a joint venture together in Ohio to build car batteries for Honda's next gen EVs coming out in 2026. But they have just finished the construction milestone. They got all the main beams up and they're beginning hiring at the plant. So if guys are looking for a job, Ohio's cheap as heck to live in, and maybe you can also get a nice paying job at the battery factory with Honda and LG Energy and Solutions. 2,200 jobs they need to fill. And the batteries will start mass production in 2025. But again, I don't believe the EVs will be on sale until 2026. So let me know if you think Nissan investing in Fisker, it's not a done deal yet, but it sounds like it's pretty close. Do you think this is a great idea for them? Or is it too risky? I mean, $400 million doesn't sound like a lot of money for such a big company like Nissan. So maybe this is a nice clearance sort of item that they can pick up off the shelf and integrate some of the technology. It'll be interesting. That's all I can say. But in terms of naming with Ronin and Alaska with Frontier, like it is a match made in heaven with the names. For the next EV Auto update, hopefully we have a little bit more fun stuff. It was a stretch for me this week and get motivated for this one, but hopefully it was enjoyable for you. And I'll see you guys in the comments and see you in next week's video and all the videos in between now and then. Have a good one and peace.